Right, here we go.
All right, I can't wait to see these games.
Oh, the big game, yeah.
Yeah,
The big game.
the
Not
big
not
game.
just Cal Stanford anymore.
Well,
It's Guseyanov and Lenderman as well. Welcome everyone to the Mechanics Institute on this Thursday evening. I myself am live in downtown San Francisco in the office of the Mechanics Institute Chess Club. My name is Abel Talamantes, chess director, and joining me is Grandmaster and three-time U.S. champion Nick DeFermian and FIDE Master Paul Whitehead. And we are covering round 7 of the Thursday Night Marathon, and this is our board 1. The two Grandmasters finally facing off. Gadir Guseyanov is white against Grandmaster Alex Lenderman.
Awesome.
And welcome, guys. And what do you think?
I'm still going through a commercial for something.
What is it this time? Wild Wings or what?
It looks like some photo editing software or something. But well, you can tell me what's going on. Of the, I see. Okay.
See, this is what happens when you're not a subscriber. You have to deal with the Wild Wings, toilet paper, and whatever else they throw at you before we get to the main stuff.
So, what do you think, Nick? This is we're getting.
I'm also not quite on. It's
Ah,
give me another minute.
this is what the customers have paid for is a Sicilian defense with
Well,
looks like
Alex Lenderman is, he's been in the U.S. chess, and he's not quite Caruana, or Wesley So, but otherwise right up there at the top. And he plays in our mechanics tournament, and so this is an epic encounter of Lenderman against Gadir Guseyanov.
And doesn't Lenderman help train some of the top players in prep?
he was the second. He was the coach for the winning Olympic team.
He was, along with our own John Donaldson as the non-coach, non-playing captain.
Right. But I mean, Lenderman was the second. I mean, he was the chess coach.
Yes, there for chess reasons, and
So, so he got an impressive resume.
And how does this look for Gadir? I see he's kind of like castled queenside. He's launching on the king side, and Lenderman's king still in the middle of the board.
this is an epic battle. This is what a Sicilian is supposed to be. It's one side's under pressure, the other side's kind of defending, but ready to counterattack at the right moment. And I don't know. I'm guessing chances are about equal here, and time is about equal. So, but we've seen Gadir, and he's beating up on people all the time.
And
But now he's met an equal here.
and he has because when have the last time you've seen 18 minutes on each side of an opponent of Gadir's? He's usually used like 5 minutes.
Lenderman is actually a few seconds up on time. We've never seen before in Gear's game here.
And all of this out of a Richter Rauser variation.
Yeah. I mean, like Nick says, this looks, like, I was going to say, what about Rook G8? I actually thought of that move. Crazy enough. I should have said it.
Just to break it up.
And doesn't it feel like, oh, that's an unnatural move. Now you can't cancel. Now your king's stuck in the center. But it does the trick. It does what's needed in the position. So it takes a grandmaster like Lenderman to play it, or Paul to think of it.
Well, here timing is everything. After F4, knight C6, this attack on the bishop on D4 is probably going to slow white down just enough for black to play something like G5 or something.
And this is an important game for Lenderman because Gadir is first place in the standings with 5.5 out of 6, but Lenderman's a full point behind with 4.5 points. So it's in his interest to win this game, not just take a friendly draw. I mean, he's going to need the win to move up in the standings and in the money.
Like anybody else would be thinking, oh, Gadir, the worst that can happen here that he will draw, but not against Lenderman. Lenderman could take him out here.
Look at this Black Knight, 95. I wonder, it must have started off on C6, went to E5, back to C6, now to A5.
Well, unless it went from G8 to F6 to D7 to E5 to C6, now to A5.
I seem to have a significant lag. I'm going to rewind my clock here.
So we will get back to this game as we do some resetting here. Board 2 is an intriguing matchup, and I'm going to click on to that one. Two international masters squaring off on board 2. Playing white is Balachandra Dulipala, taking our very own Elliot Winslow.
And this looks like it came out of a London system. That
Correct.
white bishop on H2, those solid pawns on B3, C3, D4.
That is
But
right.
Mr. Winslow has developed his pieces very well, all channeled towards the center, and it looks like he shouldn't be worse in any way.
Yeah, I like Elliot's style here.
And I was talking to Elliot earlier today, and he was getting himself ready, pumped for this game. Knows what's at stake, what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So,
And the time on this game is also about even.
and just taking a quick look at board 3, it's National Master Mike Walder playing white against a very tough Austin Mai.
Oh, another epic battle here.
Two of the classic players of our Tuesday night or Thursday night marathon. And, I was wondering, well, why isn't Mike Walder in the chat? And this explains it.
We don't have to put an APB out.
But, I wish Alexei Rudolph were joining us to comment on these.
And in honor of our chief TD, Dr. Judith Stare, who's started all these games, this is a Budapest. This is what came out. Budapest, as she would say. Budapest. Rubinstein variation. And we have a result already, and they must have agreed to play a blitz because Max Gadajlovic, FIDE Master, put an end to Jeff Anderson. 53 moves. And,
Oh my gosh.
And look at the time on the clock. I mean, they were just kind of firing on all cylinders here.
Well, White seems to have played it out a bit
Yeah.
in any case.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. 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 So, back to board 1. Check on that game.
Oh, nice little combination by Black there. Mm-hmm.
I think there we go.
But Gadir put his king on B1 so that it's safe. And then he can look forward to the central action with his king, tucked away. Newman's king still is in the center, so that'll be a worry for him as it continues.
Very practical player. Actually, both of them. Lenderman was a little shaky in the last couple of rounds. I remember he got lucky to escape with a draw against Austin Mai.
And I think we have Adam Stafford in the chat saying, hey.
So Adam remembers when Lenderman was here. I can't recall exactly when that was. Do you, Abel?
When
He's saying he doesn't remember Lenderman being here.
Oh,
yeah, he there was a week he had, and I believe it was last week. He had two buys. No, no, it wasn't last week. It was the week before that. He had two buys, so he didn't play because he was at the World Open. And then he played last week definitely because Austin Mai got a hold of him and played him to a draw. It took advantage of a blunder, which is why he's a full point behind Gadir.
This is a little risky on Black's part.
Yeah, E5.
yes, but there was kind of no way out, no way you if you did slowly king to e7, right, with double rooks on the d file,
Yeah.
play g5, have a definite initiative. So you put the question to white, what are you going to do? And maybe black will have time to put his king up and get the rook on g8 into play.
It's all going to depend on how White handles this in the next move or two. Tough little game.
And Lenderman, he's a very sort of principled player. I used to play him a lot of times in New York, 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, he's not one of those ones who plays odd openings or tricky things, sort of just, tries to
look
play
at
good
this.
moves.
Look at this. He plays knight d5. Off it comes.
Oh, okay. And Lenderman so quickly took the pawn on f4. So for the moment to pawn up, it's
Well, I guess e5 is maybe not as big a deal as Gadir thinks it is. Here comes g5. All right, so I mean, this is what's the theme here is Gadir is going for it.
keeping
Because
that black king in the center.
he had safe ways to play, White did, and so Gadir is just deciding to completely go for it here.
If you look at this position, that white king just couldn't be safer. It's got three pawns around it, can fight on a2. So it's not worried. You're a pawn down for the moment. But, it just must be compensation at least.
Yeah, and I mean, White didn't have to play knight d5. He could have just taken on e5 and played a sort of a boring position.
And he wouldn't have been worse, certainly.
Right. Instead, we're getting some action here.
Yeah, I mean Lenderman is a little forced to press if he wants to wants any part of the prize pool, but this looks very tough.
Yeah, I like this g5 move too. It makes f6 look ridiculous if Black is going to decide to do that. Or Black might have been deciding to do that, but now it's out of the question.
Yeah, very nice pawn move with the pawn structure. And Gadir didn't worry about getting his pawn back immediately or breaking through immediately. He first pays attention to what the future pawn structure is going to be like.
Wow. King
And
f8.
here's got to be a tough move for Black. Okay, King f8 may be necessary. But yes, it just doesn't look nice for Black here.
We were talking last week how, like, whatever your strength player, there's something about Gadir's play that just it just cramps you up. Like it just restricts. You all of a sudden you're in an unfavorable position.
I think that was very telling, that move pawn to g5. It's so positionally precise. Um,
He's
and
got a
now,
nice touch. He's got a nice touch. That's
And
yeah,
Mike Walder and Austin Mai have agreed to a draw in their game.
that seems reasonable from that game.
I thought Mike Welder had an advantage in that game.
And
He might
Two
have gotten a
bishops.
bit tired.
here's the position here in the end. Um,
Yeah, I think.
White's got two bishops.
Yeah.
It's to me, White's just better in this position.
Okay.
and taking a quick look at
I would
board
agree with
2.
you. Coming up is e4 too. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Black has gotten his knight chase back, I suppose. So Black should be ready to deal with anything that's going on in the center here.
Yeah, in general, I would really like Black's position, but that sneaky bishop on h2 looks like it's going to influence the future play, because how is how is Black going to advance those center pawns, and then suddenly that bishop will open up with an influence on the diagonal.
Right. I've had some funny games where I've managed to play e4 and d5, and then the bishop actually does nothing at all. Just, you know what I mean? There are positions where the bishop rakes the diagonal and with no effect on the other pieces. It can happen. But
And let me go back to
one
board
condition.
1. Let me go back to board 1. We got a few moves. Look at Black's king is like cocooned here.
Kadir is taking his pawn back. That looks like Lenderman is struggling to equalize at best. Oh, such a move! Oh, just not rookie one or something, but cut the king away. So queen takes e4, queen takes d6 check, and you'll also pick up pawn on the a6. Very nice.
Yeah, this is looking tough for Lenderman.
And like Nick was saying earlier, that white king just nicely tucked away over there.
Mm-hmm. King safety.
If I were Lenderman, I might play pawn to b4. But Gadir would probably just lock things up with pawn to a4. Keeping this long-term advantage of a safer king.
What's happening on board 3? Oh, that was the Michael Walter Austin Mai game.
But here's another intriguing match. This was on board 5. This is Sina Mohammadi, who had won the first 4 games in the Thursday marathon and then had to face the 2 GMs last week, playing the credible Hulk, Callaghan McCarty Sneed.
Now, this is the end of the tournament tonight after the next round, right?
That's right. 8 rounds.
Time control is game in 35 and a 5-second delay, or increment.
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 Well, I mean, I like the Hulk's 2 bishops, but And I like that the white knight is on the side for black. White's
Why was that so funny? I like the Hulk's two bishops.
This is the Thursday night marathon.
Thursday. Did somebody say Tuesday?
Adfost
Wow.
has said it's changed since the TNM is over the board.
Correct. That is exactly right. So since the Tuesday night marathon is back live over the board, we moved this marathon to Thursdays and basically keeping the previous format. We did increase the increment to 5. It used to be 2. So that's the difference. Going back to board 1.
Well, Lenderman decides he has to play G6 to get his rook into play or king somewhere. And it was so nice Kadir left that rook on H1, knowing that the H file would be important.
Isn't Rook H7 coming or?
Rook H7 looks like the move.
Oh, of course, it does something
Or,
different, but the same
I guess,
idea.
Rook G7?
I think it certainly play rook G7, and so Gadir could immediately make a draw with rook H8 check, rook G8, rook H7. And I think Lenderman would be very happy with a draw in this position, despite his tournament situation.
King G7 might just lose to pawn to E5.
Well, we will see.
Might test your theory. Whoa.
Pawn takes, rook takes. Oh, he takes on D6 instead. Huh.
Well, I like that move.
Yeah, that's a little simple. That's simple too.
My God, it snatches a pawn because
Gosh.
I don't think you can take on.
I mean, look at that. I mean, isn't he threatening like Queen H4?
Then Rook H8.
Rook
So.
H8, but like.
I mean, he's threatening Rook takes A6, and just that's kind of horrible too. Now Lenderman is in trouble here, I would say. I mean, he doesn't have anything to do almost here. Rook H8 and Rook H5 or something like that.
I think you're right that Deer's going to keep those threats on the king and start grabbing the queenside pawn, so that the endgames are hopeless. Yeah, I bet you're right, Paul. I bet he just grabs the A pawn.
And then Queen E4. Does he have time for Queen E4?
He'll probably Queen F6 check and.
The rook can't quite get down to H1 yet, but boy, that looks scary for black. Woo! Gadier's got the draw in hand, draw offer in hand here. Is he a full point ahead of the field?
He's a full point ahead. And actually, see, the thing he sort of has to keep his eye out is for Balachandra, who's playing Elliot Winslow, because he's only a half a point ahead of Balachandra. So if Gadir takes a draw and Balachandra Dulapala beats Elliot, then there's a tie for first.
I think Kadir is not going to accept a draw in this position.
And they have not faced each other yet in this tournament. Gadir and
Who?
Oh,
Gadir and Balachandra Dulapala.
Uh-huh.
would we take a look at that game, Abel?
Yeah, let me go over here.
Queen e4, queen f6, and rook h4. Rook f4, maybe. Yeah, oh, I see. Then queen e5. Well, black has a nice centralized position here. It looks like he has to play knight h3 or knight e4, one or the other.
Somehow it's worked out well for black.
He's got to watch out for bishop c6, but what about knight e4?
That certainly should be okay for black.
Yeah, these
Although-
pawns, this pawn structure on the king side. How did that exactly happen? Can you figure that out, Nick? How the pawns got like that on the king side?
Got broken up for white.
Yeah, it's odd.
Here we go.
Oh, the e5 pawn got something happened. How did that happen?
okay, doubling those pawns.
I doubled the pawns with bishop f3. I see.
But h4 is very interesting because knight e4 could actually play pawn to f3, sort of trapping the knight. Knight to d2, queen to a2. There's nowhere for the knight to go.
Uh-huh.
So Winslow went knight to h3. The knight's down there, but as you say, bishop c6 is in the cards there. Maybe knight
The
e4
game
anyway.
is heating up. Knight g4. Bishop takes h3 though. Knight h2, king g2.
So I'm wondering about knight e4. It's going forward. It threatens knight d2 check. Threatens knight takes f2.
And it blocks the other file. Yeah, knight e4 is a move for sure. Winslow's on fire. You know, I mean, he's won the senior championship.
Yeah.
Despite all those senior moments that he had, and I couldn't resist. Sorry.
And since he's not here to defend himself.
Right.
But he's getting low on time.
I got the honor of playing against Elliot the other day, against him in a bug house match against the kids that were part of the camp. And I'm going to take credit as that helping him prepare for tonight. It was the bug house. Even though he says he absolutely hates bug house.
So now what, Nick?
Oh, yeah, it is complicated. Black needs a move. Needs to funny how the white bishops control a lot of squares defensively.
Just throws out d5 like a genius.
Well, at least he did it quickly, which you have to do in this position.
Let me switch back really quick just to see where we're at with the game between Guseyanov and Lenderman.
So rook a6, Queen E5, Queen H4, King G8. White is now 2 pawns ahead. And if there's a mate here, he's going to find it.
Which is a good point. If you do rook on A6 to F6, just with the simple plan of rook to H1 and checkmate,
Does he have queen takes E4?
and then say queen to H6.
Yeah, what I'm talking about. Yeah, we have Mike Walder in the chat. He can join in here.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, Nick thinks you took a draw a little too early. He's going to spank you when the Nick sees you.
Yes, Mike, give me your excuse for that. I thought you got a nice game with the two bishops.
I was just feeling tired. He's gonna say.
Yeah, we're all getting a little predictable around here. We got to shake things up.
Burned out,
Okay.
he says. He's burned out.
Yeah, you have played so much chess, Mike. That I accept that as an excuse. So many games, two in a day for a long time. So,
All right, White played Queen D5. Balachandra played Queen takes D5, Queen takes D5, Knight takes D5, and we're getting some recklessness here. Well, Rook takes F2. White's going to be up 2 pieces for a rook.
this doesn't seem to work for Winslow.
No, I don't think it does either. White could even play Knight takes B6, and Black looks like he's sort of flat-footed.
There's no real threats for Black.
Yeah.
Maybe Knight G4. No, that's not quite working either.
I think White's, and this Rook E7, Rook F2 is horribly embarrassing now.
Ah,
White,
shame.
yeah, that just wins, I think. Elliott out-finessed himself here. Queen D5 was a nice move. Bishop takes
Well,
E4, winning a piece.
Looks like it's a clean piece. The rook guards the bishop on H2.
Tough one here for Elliott.
Yeah, I'm looking for a tactic, but I don't see it. Now just knight takes rook.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the top board.
Okay, he's got his queen to G7, so he doesn't get checkmated. At least not right away.
But
Still 2 pawns
Still
down.
2 pawns down. Yeah.
So what should White do here, Nick?
That at least Slenderman has made it. He's stopped him for the moment. You don't want to advance your queenside pawns because the king is there, and nothing's happening on the king side. Can you triple on the H file? Question. Because that would be a knockout blow.
Ooh, tripling on the H file. Like rook F. Yeah, he does it, Nick.
Seems he wants to.
Jeez, this guy is good.
And Yes, that's
Well, what about rook fe8, rook h2, king f8?
all right, Paul. That's a real defense. Very good. And okay, Gadir is down to 5 minutes. It's at least Lenderman has done something right.
Yeah. It's rare we see Guseynov go this long.
It's called respect.
It's out of respect.
Yeah, rook e8. It's not okay, rook e8, rook h2, king f8, queen to f4, plan of queen to f6, taking away the escape squares. Something like rook a2, rook a8, rook h2, king f8, queen f4, rook e4, queen f6, just a mating net. So
Yeah, or you could check him. Rook h8 check would win right away, right? King e7. Oh, I see. He's got king e7.
no,
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. You're right, Paul. You're right. That the rook on e4 would be hanging after that rook h8 check.
yeah.
So even better. Yeah, e8, rook h2, king f8, queen f4. No way out.
King e7.
Yes, you have to play it.
Then rook h7.
Seven.
Oh.
That seems it would be done for.
We could see Lenderman resigning here. It's possible.
And Balachandra Dulapala got that win against Elliot Winslow. So it stands to reason that Guseynov and Dulapala will be facing off in the final round.
Now, Abel, he's only half a point behind, even if
Only, yeah, if they both win, he's still only a half point behind.
But I thought Balachandra. Who did he lose to, Balachandra?
Uh,
I thought he lost a game.
Lost. But you know,
well,
Gadir.
as Mike Weldon said, he drew a game with Gadir.
Oh no, he did lose to him already.
Yeah, he lost to Gadir. Yeah, that's
He
right.
lost to
And
Gadir, but
yeah,
Gadir drew with Walder.
that's right.
That's what happened there. And then
Oh yes,
Austin Mai and Walder drew. So
The four knights with a3. That's right. Yeah.
5-5.
So
6.
this looks like it's over, huh? After rook f(h)2, king f8, queen f4.
we can't seem to find anything.
King e7 is just met by rook h7, right?
Oh, and instantly queen f4. Yes. And
Not found by you, Nick.
Ooh.
This is it.
oh, look at that, a move. A
Yeah.
move.
Oh, he goes back. Yeah.
He didn't resign, but queen
Queen f6.
Queen f6, and you can play a 4-pawn down endgame or something.
Oh, I see. We're after queen f6 and rook h5.
Yeah. Takes twice on h5, takes on e4, takes on b5.
And that's completely lost, you know. And rook e4 is met by rook h8 check for all you folks back home. So it looks like he has to trade. And play rook h5. That's amazing that Lenderman found anything there.
Got a pawn. Oof. There's
You can
no.
check him out. White's got all these pleasant alternatives, right? Like he could take on b5, which would win, or he can try to go after the f pawn.
Yeah, what a choice. Like you lose your f pawn, or you have to play king f8, and rook b5 comes with tempo. Gadir rubs it in that way. It's
God,
cruel.
he's just got a really okay. So Lenderman's going to get his king out, and he's going to be able to play b4 or something like that. But that's completely hopeless, right? White just can. Why did he play back to h8 and not to h6?
And there we have it.
Yeah, that's it. Coming up is rook b8 and f7.
Gadir Guseynov defeats Alexander Lenderman. And
Made it look kind of not easy, but boy, the guy is precise in his moves.
six and a half out of 7. Just unbelievable.
Well, that's not as good as Hans Niemann did one year, I think. Scored a perfect score.
And
Was Hans Niemann the first to score a perfect score on the
I
team?
think he might have been maybe one of 2 people or something to score the perfect score on the TNM.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, he went like 8-0, no, 9-0 or something like that.
Oh, Hans Niemann. Have to
Now-
look that up.
Yeah, we should look that up. Maybe John would remember.
And we're watching Sina Mohammadi and the Credible Hulk here. And there,
White looked nice here.
and there's another interesting game that's still going between Marina Xiao and Jonah Bush. You got opposite colored bishops, rooks.
Ooh, that pawn f4 was a nice move.
But let me go to the other game because they both have seconds left on their clock.
Ouch.
Anything can happen when there's seconds left.
White's considerably better here.
But it's not checkmate.
You got to watch out where you check. You don't have stuff hanging.
Yeah, that queen e8 check might not have been good. Just take on c5 was better, probably. Keep it in reserve.
Well, okay, h4 check is a threat. Maybe you go h4 yourself as white. Ooh, I don't like that.
It's black, because you could play h3, right?
Ooh, where does the black king go now? It's,
Yeah,
Oh.
that's he loses the.
Well, that increment, I mean, they went from seconds left to having like some time.
White's doing good here still, but black is defending.
white has a pawn, but black's at least getting that bishop back into play.
Yeah.
Ooh, queen a7 check. Ooh. Now get that bishop aimed at the white king. Maybe d5 was better.
You know, Nick, I played over this wonderful end game between Smyslov and Susan Polgar. Have you?
Now, when you said Smyslov, I thought, okay, you're back to Bronstein, Rubenstein, and stuff, and then you Susan Polgar, you're
Yeah.
back in the present.
It was a beautifully game played defense by Susan against Smyslov, who was playing to win in an opposite bishop color endgame. And she found defense after defense after defense with her back to the wall. It was really nice. I don't know if you're familiar with the game, but
Well, the Hungarians in our club will be very happy to hear about that.
it was played a
Good
while
luck
ago,
with
of
the-
course. But I think she made three separate.
Oh, the Hulk's about to. They drew.
They did draw, and Jonah
Wow.
Bush got it done in his game. Here's the final position. Wow, look at that. That's mate.
Yeah, he was pressing there.
Boom, boom.
Nice.
Very nice. I believe all the games are done for the round. And we'll have Judith confirm that. But we will have, if they are done, we will have the pairing shortly. And round 8, the final round of the Thursday night marathon, should start in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And that's Adam Stafford in the chat. Adam Stafford. Go Bears.
So the
I'm going to take a 5-minute break.
Sure. You're saying, Nick?
so
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Kadir cannot play Belachandra because they've already played.
Yeah, they've already played.
And I don't know if Alex Lenderman is playing his last round.
I believe he is, unless he's reached out to Judith. Said not. But Gadir has played Balachandra, Lenderman, Walder, Gedajlovic, Sina Mohammadi. He has not yet played Austin Mai, and he has not yet played Elliot Winslow. But Austin Mai is going to have more points. I think he's going to have 5 points to Winslow's 4.5. So I'm expecting Austin Mai to play Gadir in the final round. And Nick, so were you following the FIDE World Cup today?
I was. It was nice to see the higher rated players jump in there,
Yeah,
and I was a little shocked to see this
that's
one guy jump in, name of Carlson, who
yeah.
wondering what's he doing at this stage.
And the thing with Carlson, of course, is that this is a world candidates qualifier, the top 2 players, and so why is the world champion playing it? And what's the answer to that? Just cause? Why not? Show them who's the boss, or what?
Yeah, it's a little like the Queen's Gambit, the final scene where she just wants to play,
Yeah.
and Carlson he loves chess. He just wants to play. So I can't fault him for that.
You had a great article that'll be coming out in this week's newsletter. Love that. So read the Mechanics Institute newsletter. It'll come out Saturday morning. I should put the link. I'll put the link up there. But there was a little bit of drama today at the World Cup. You want to tell us about that with Caruana's opponent and Livon Aronian?
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. You know the story?
Yeah, Paul was saying that Caruana's opponent tested positive for COVID, and so he got removed mid-tournament. So then Caruana is getting tested. He maybe he could tell more. Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah,
You-
I read that.
Yeah.
I read that Caruana was playing his opponent, and the game was stopped. His opponent was informed that he had tested positive for COVID, and he was forfeited. And Caruana went to his hotel room. and is going to get tested, I guess, being that he was exposed to somebody with COVID. Meanwhile, Aronian apparently forfeited his game. And so if he forfeits tomorrow, he's out of the World Cup.
So he has to win tomorrow.
He has to win. He has to play and win. He had a fever. They didn't say that he had COVID, but he voluntarily didn't show up for the game,
Right.
not wanting to put his opponent at risk.
And we do have the pairings for the next round. So board one for the final round of the TNM, Austin Mai is going to take on Grandmaster Gadir Gusainov. On board two, Kalen Melville is going to take on International Master Balachandra Dulipala.
The game of his life.
Game of his life. This is
The
it,
game
Kalen.
of his life, Nick.
And on board three, FIDE Master Max Gadajlovic is taking on Grandmaster Alex Lunderman.
I'm glad Lenderman's staying in.
And that'll be a fun match to follow also.
And what about Mad Mike Walder?
Angry Mike Walder. Let's see. He is taking on...
Elliot.
No. Elliot Winslow. Unless they withdrew. I don't think I see them.
He says he fried out. He's a spectator.
Yeah, spectator.
Right.
But there's another great matchup in the round is Jonah Bush is taking on Callaghan McCarty Sneed.
Oh, that should be a nice bloodthirsty event. I feel like a Roman emperor,
It's like the gladiators, right?
Yeah, we're the senators sitting in the
right.
Colosseum. Well,
Violencia.
well, the rest of them are out there slaughtering themselves for our sport.
The senators. Rome will be a republic again. Gladiators.
This is for our sport. Yeah.
A senator, Roman senator. Oh my gosh, I'm messing up the board now. But the games will
Well,
pop up.
good news. Good news. Alexi has joined the chat.
Oh, hey there. I haven't too because it keeps buffering, but I can read the chat. Yeah, follow the chat. I mean, the chat is almost as much fun as whatever you see on the board. So thank you, Alexi, for joining. I look forward to seeing Alexi at the U.S. Open because she'll be in New Jersey. So looking forward to that. And earlier, Kimberly Dew stopped by. I was saying at the Mechanics Institute, so it was fun to see her and say hey. And the round will start in 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
What do zombies eat between rounds?
Man, they just eat people,
I-
right? From the TV shows I've watched, they just eat people
Right, okay.
like their own guts, like literally
Their own brains.
Right. You ever seen The Walking Dead? I mean, they're eting the guts, the guts of people. That's what it looks like.
I have to admit, I've not been a fan of zombie movies. And the only one that I saw and that can remember is Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead.
You know what was a great zombie movie was World War Z with Brad Pitt. That was like a fantastic start to finish action, pandemic. Hey, Gonzalo.
Yeah, Gonzalo, do they have zombies down there in Uruguay?
Uruguayan zombies.
Yeah, right. They're like all over the pampas, like.
See, this is what the chat devolves to when we're like waiting for games.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about chess? Go somewhere else.
Yeah, go to the FIDE broadcast.
We're all about zombies
Eating
and
cows mostly. Mostly eating cows. He said.
right
Uh, the donkeys and the
and giving coups.
yeah.
Well, I have to say, of all the games Kadir played this tournament, the one against Lenormand was extremely impressive. Strong grandmaster, and he just controlled that game from start to finish.
And it'll be interesting to see how Austin does in the last game, given, he likes to play sharp and aggressively and uh,
Now, if Gadir draws, does he get clear first?
oh, good question. I believe so. Let me double check
I
that.
expect a draw offer from Gadir.
No, I think he ties
No, 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 because he's only a half point ahead of Bala.
Oh,
So expect expect a draw offer. Who said that? Was that Titan?
now I don't expect a draw offer.
Let's
I
go.
mean, Kalen Melville may well pull an upset, but it's not to be expected against.
Palin is due for a super duper
And
result.
give a quick shout out to Judith. She's in the chat. We ready for the last round. We are ready to go. And thank you, Judith, for starting up all the games and just getting everything done. And nice to see you in the chat. And Austin Mai's in the chat. Why am I playing Guseanov? Because
Hey, because we want you to
you
get
can. That's why.
Yeah.
Actually, you should have lost the
for
last
it.
round then if you didn't want to play.
Go for it. Go for him. You've got to. This is what it's all about.
But Austin, everyone else had played him.
Basically, like literally everyone else. Kalen
Yeah.
was the only
now
other
it's
one.
your turn.
Yeah. One GM is not enough for you, but he just beat Lenderman. You
Well,
drew Lenderman.
Yeah. Now you had Lenderman beaten. Now you can take it out on Goosen.
That's right. He had him beaten.
Austin, we're rooting for you.
Yeah.
You had him beaten, so therefore, Guseanov had Lenderman beaten. Austin Mai had Lenderman beaten. Therefore,
Yeah. Therefore,
therefore,
Austin Mai.
you're gonna play him in round 8. Is it legal to play the French? All right, we're getting ready. Should be starting at any moment now.
awesome.
Titan chess. This is your chance right here. And the games are firing up.
Austin, you're playing great chess. Just play your game.
Play your game. He plays e4. Goes right into Sicilian.
But
All right.
April, Paul, I'm going to sign off and let you continue for tonight.
Thank
Okay.
you, Nick, for joining us.
Yep.
Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, and we will see you next week at the Tuesday Night Marathon.
Right?
I'm going to get good support from Alexi and Michael Walder.
There you go. We got an all-star cast. And while I fix everything here, get this going. There we go.
Oh, I've played this bishop b5 move.
This bishop b5 move.
It's aimed against a6, but by Nick, and now e5. And surely Gadir knows this.
So tricks being attempted by Austin or what?
Yeah, but this is
This is known stuff or what?
it is known. I'm not sure about queen g3. I have a feeling queen t3 is not the move here, and that white normally plays takes on e7, queen e7 check, and then queen e3, and tries to play an endgame.
Look at that.
And b4 makes a lot of sense. It just takes the pawn out of capture and prevents white from playing knight c3. And now everything's going to resolve around this f6 pawn, or the dark squares.
And let's see the other pairings.
And white's just playing gamble it up style. But this is starting to look a little fishy, in my opinion.
And what is this?
Queen f6, queen takes d5.
I was just taking a look at board 2 real quick. This is Kalen's game, playing white. This is how.
So what was this? I'm not sure about the opening.
It says Queen's Pawn opening, Mykonos defense.
And Alekhine on the other side of the
On
board
the
here.
other side, yeah. And just checking in on board 3, this game here.
It's funny that White's letting Black play queen d1 rather than playing queen d8 himself. And this is, you know, very modest move, knight d2. Super duper modest move.
Modest as in not aggressive, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, normally, I mean, I guess it's going to turn into some kind of call system, or White might decide to play e4 and have a kind of a perk defense with knight d2, but still Black is, you know, it's very solid for White, approach for White, but not particularly aggressive. This is going to be a long game.
Jumping back to the top board here. And what is the idea of that pawn on f6?
Well, I mean, it's cramping Black super duper. I keep using that word. So if queen f6, queen takes d5, Black is playing, you know, an uncompromising kind of game here. Wants that pawn for nothing. Playing to castle and play queen takes f6. After which Black will be a clear pawn ahead. This is looking dubious for White, I think.
As Gadir can do to you.
But Mike Walder says this is a known position. What does that mean? I mean, what is White supposed to get done here?
I think Oli was saying the same thing too.
So what, knight b3, bishop c1, castles. You can't defend f6. You know, it can be known, but it can also be unknown. Or should be unknown.
Should be, because it's no good.
So, okay, knight b3, bishop takes c1, something takes on c1, and then castle.
Yeah, let me update.
And there goes f6.
Gotta update some stuff here.
And close to even, huh? Yeah, close to even. What, knight d4, and then try to play on the light squares. Yeah. You know, I just don't. I don't see it. If I'm white, I want more out of the opening than a pawn down with nebulous compensation. How about Elliott's game?
You
Oh,
withdrew.
he withdrew too.
Yeah. There we go.
So
So let me. I was just updating.
Gdajlovic. Oh yeah, Kalen Melville on board too.
Yeah, let's check Gdajlovic, and then I'll check Kalen right after.
So it's transposed into some kind of perk defense where white's played a very modest c3 and bishop d3 and knight d2. And the chances are even. It's interesting to see what Lenderman will try to do. Sometimes black can just play d5 in a position like this. Right away and just equalize, or play knight h5. I was thinking knight h5 too.
Do you do f5 now, or do you wait?
No, whites might regret having that pawn on h3. It's risky for black to play f5 while the center is still fluid like this. You might play knight f4, just going for the two bishops. Yeah, f5 is usually not the right idea when the center's still open. Like if white plays d5, then black will think about playing f5.
Yeah, Oli agrees with you. F5 a little too risky right now.
So white's going to play a4, and then black can take on d4, and if white takes with the pawn, then b4 is a square for black, maybe. It's one way to think about this position.
Let's check in on Kalen's big moment right here. And Kalen had to recapture, that's why his king's on d1.
Right. Well, you know, this is... I mean, white looks like he's a little bit better here, despite that. You know, put the king on e2, bishop on e3, or something like that, you know. This bishop c5 shouldn't cause too much worry. White should just play king e2 and then think about bringing the bishop to e3.
And let's check on another game that looked interesting when I looked at the pairings. This is Jonah Bush playing white against Callaghan McCarty Sneed, the credible Hulk.
And Kalen's got good chances here with the... Okay, so this looks like a known position.
And
Very sharp.
Mike Walder said this is close to his prep with Gadir. I'm assuming you're talking about. Are you talking about the Kalen's game? And let's go back to that one on board 2 with Kalen and Balachandra.
All right, so white doesn't want to play bishop e3 here yet because takes, and then knight g4 check. But that's simple. White can play h3 and allow the pawn to go, the black pawn to go to h4. you know, my feeling is that white should be fine here. Might have a few little difficulties to sort of get out of the way, and even e5 is possible here. And trying to play knight e4. And yeah, white should have taken on d8, and then it would have been black that couldn't castle here.
I'd take that.
It's funny, yeah.
Let's check on Austin Mai trying to take down a GM. He's still thinking after bishop h6.
Okay, knight b3 is consistent, but bishop takes c1, and then I suppose rook a takes c1, and notice the pawn at a2 is hanging then. Okay, knight takes c1, queen f6. I don't think you're going to play queen f6 right away because white's got queen takes d5. Oh, I guess black could take on b2. But why is white, what's white got and even in that variation, Mike? I don't see it, you know? A pawn down for nothing is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, because it seems like he's going to lose that eventually somehow.
He's going to lose the f6 pawn coming up.
Let's take a look at Lenderman's game with Gadajlovic, because Lenderman like launching those pawns on the king side.
All right, so he did play knight f4, and then we've got this unsettled position here with
This is how it played out.
queen
here.
d2, g5. This is all kind of standard stuff. The white knight is definitely out of play on b3, and if I'm white, I want to be. Oh, so yeah, you know.
That's how
This is
we
very,
arrived.
very kind of standard stuff. Black's got the two bishops, and you know, some possibility of striking with pawn to g4 at some point.
Could turn into a sharp game.
Yeah.
And let's go back to board 2 here. Balachandra Dulipala is castled on the queen side.
And now I suppose bishop e3. And then that just looks kind of a little bit better for white to me.
And Kalen's doing well with his time so far. He's had a tendency to get into time pressure, but looks like he's keeping up okay so far.
Yeah, bishop e3 just looks a little better for white here. I mean, black could play bishop b4, but then white could think about even moving the knight to b1 and playing c3 and knight d. I don't know. Just white's got a little bit more space.
And I've had some moves played on board 1, so flip into that. C4 was Austin's solution. Is that a good solution?
Well, I mean, he's trying to open it up. He's threatening to take on d5. And he's trying to preserve that f6 pawn, which I think he doesn't want to give that up. And so I like c4. Takes, and now at least white could take with the queen and defend f6 for a minute. Whether that, that will last is another question. I mean, maybe it's as simple as queen takes c3, pawn to d4, and queen takes f6.
And
It's
done.
disconcerting that when Gadir plays his moves instantly.
Exactly.
He's a play. You know what I think about Gadir? He's very effective at using his opponent's time to think on.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
he seems ready.
That's not something that players are even very strong players are accustomed to doing. But Gadir seems to have that down. You see a lot of instantaneous replies in complicated positions, and that's because he's thinking on his opponent's time and thinking constructively on his opponent's time. It's unusual. It sounds like, an obvious thing, but I think it's kind of unusual. And one of his real strengths.
Yeah, because oftentimes we're watching players, they need to sort of take a little break from the game on their opponent's time and look at other games and whatnot. But Gadir's probably just thinking chess all the time. He's using that time. Back to Gedajlovic Lenderman.
So Austin's got a bit of a chance here now with the pawn at f6 still alive. All right, bishop b5 was threatening d5, and Lenderman needed to get the rook out of the way, and he played rook d8. Yeah, this is interesting. It's got this crummy knight at b3. And I don't think white wants to play d5, knight e5.
Yeah, Mike's saying he likes Max's game here.
Well, it's definitely double-edged. White needs to come up with a plan here. That's the problem for white. He needs to come up with a sequence of moves here.
And
Black is, maybe bishop c6, and I'm giving up and then pawn e5. I don't know.
And just checking in on board 2. Kaylin Melville, Balachandra Dulapala. Now I got the sirens over here at the Mechanics Institute.
I hear it. That sounds like whistling.
Downtown San Francisco.
It sounds like zombies whistling.
Zombies whistling. I've never heard that ever. Zombies whistling. Sounds like a band, like a name of a band.
The whistling zombie twin.
Wow.
Where else in the chess world are you going to hear this stuff?
Kaylin, B4.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's such a special move. I think e5, bishop c6, and then bishop e3 was a simpler solution here. Maybe. Black's trying to get him to play e5. That's odd.
Now, is e5 goading him to a mistake, or is that a pretty solid move?
I mean, I think, well, Black goes back, and then it's a contest for squares in the center, and Black's going to try to fix the pawns on the king side, maybe.
And going back to board one really quick, this is
Yeah.
probably a critical moment because black is castled, and Austin is using a lot of time now trying to figure out how the next phase of this game is going to go. What do you think?
Well, White's got a, somewhat of a chance here.
Oh, like knight b3 or something?
Yeah, or knight f1, or I'm not sure that these knights need an anchor somewhere. Meanwhile, black, has this potential of playing e5 or d4. I mean, the threat is d4 and queen takes f6. So yeah. And now it's a bit of awkward recapture. If rook ac1, then rook a2, right? Queen c1, queen takes f6. So maybe rook e takes c1.
Yeah.
It's actually, maybe the right move here.
Wow. Look at this move. Rook a4.
There you go. Centralizing move. The rook is brought into the game to e4, or black will play pawn to d4 or rook to c4. That's a nice move.
It's funny, moves like this don't like immediately come to mind when you're looking at the board because it feels unnatural to bring your rooks in this way.
Right. Dynamic move.
Let's check in on board two because Kalen did do that. Whoops, sorry. Played e5, and then he played bishop e3.
No, I mean, it just looks like white's better here. And in fact, white could even, white's got maybe a pawn storm looming on the queen side or something. If he can move the knight and play c4, black's pieces are a little bunched up on the king side. I don't know.
Checking in on board number
I'm
3.
still liking white here. Maybe even more so now.
Gadajlovic and Lenderman.
All right, so black went ahead and played g4 with not supported by any pieces. I mean, not supported by the pawn, but just recapturing with the bishop. And the threat was to the e4 pawn, which Gadajlovic defends with queen d3. Now he's ready to move the knight. Positionally, white could really be up on top here. I mean, black is going to need to find something in the tactical world here, I think, because I like white now. I'm beginning to like white more and more in this game.
Action chess from Max Gadajlovic.
Okay, cardboard can trips. Cardboard can trips. Rama. He's done playing? Yeah, I'm really liking white here now. And I think Lenderman is, Lenderman's not been playing that great in this TNM. Or
Yeah,
THNM.
the THNM. Yeah, I don't know if it's time control or School's back. Is he still at Webster?
Somebody said he
Did he
graduated.
graduate?
It was, you know who said it? It was Ezra Chambers.
Ezra Chambers, that's right. Who stopped by Mechanics last week. All right, let's back to the top.
Yeah, I'm giving Gad Dajlovic the edge here.
Wow, look at that. Played Knight E5 from Austin Mai.
The dark squares are the thing here. Okay, so Queen F6 loses. Tonight takes
Knight
C6,
C6.
Queen C3, and then Knight E7 check. The little in-between check. So this is a good dark square
This is where
kind of move here.
this is where you're taking advantage of that, right? A bunch of Webster students are now signed up for the U.S. Open.
Well, Gadir is facing a real challenge here.
Look how the rook came into the game this from the edge.
All right. Well, there goes the f6 pawn, but white gets the c6 pawn. Knight takes c6, and then okay,
And then pawn a4. Okay, just going for the a4, running up the flagpole. Rook f4 takes care of business. So knight c6, b c6, queen c6, queen f6, attacking f2 and b2. Maybe this is, I mean, if white plays precisely, that a pawn, like Michael says, could become a real factor here. Knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, and then don't take the pawn. Just play a4 right away and go for it.
And just start pushing
Just push
it
it
down.
fast as you can, you know.
Push it three or four squares.
Right, yeah, why push it one square when you can push it 3 squares?
So you have to think outside of the box here at the Mechanics
Right,
Institute.
Right. You know, Gadir, look over there. You know?
Exactly. All right, here we go. It's like I feel like we're on the edge of our seat, trying to see what Austin's gonna do next. And Austin just registered for the Bagby Memorial.
Whatever you do, don't offer him a draw. I'm gonna totally advise against that.
Anyone watching, the Bagby Memorial is this Sunday. 4 rounds, USCF rated, game in 45 with 5-second delay. I think we have like 55, 60 people already registered, which is a lot, especially with days to go before the event. So get it in on the action. The prize pool has gone up accordingly. Still time to register, but space is limited. Just click on that link and sign up and come to the Mechanics Institute. See one of the greatest chess clubs in the history of the world on Sunday.
you're open.
We are open. Let's do a quick peek at Kalen's game as we wait for stuff. Bishop c4 has been played. And now knight
Now,
h.
Kalen's got a great game. Or had one.
We're worried about the dark square weaknesses on that side, or?
Well, it's interesting that white maybe should have locked it up with h4. I mean, it's an open question. If black can get in g5...
They've
and start-
agreed to a draw.
Okay, how about that?
Nice job, Kalen.
Yeah, I mean, black is worse. No doubt about it.
And
And that means that Lenderman, that Gadir can wrap this up with a draw.
and you are right. What black is worse by almost 2, according to the
Is that right?
analysis.
So what's, oh, because there must be almost a winning move here.
The
Well, you can take the pawn at a7.
it says knight d4 is the continuation.
Yeah, forces rook h6 and then g3 or something.
No, it says knight d4 g5.
I think black is in trouble.
Yeah. So he took that draw. So congrats, Kalen. Nicely played. Let's check on Max the Axe against Lenderman here. Lenderman has offered a draw.
Yeah, he was worse.
And Gadajlovic is thinking about it. And thank you for the follow. Konkai's. Hey, is this Kevin's son's dad, maybe? Or Kevin's son himself? Christian Clemens is in the chat. Yeah, that's Kevin's son. Kevin's son's dad. Or Kevin's son. That's Kevin. Kevin himself. Thanks for watching.
White's got a bunch of good moves here. Knight h2 is good. Queen g5 is maybe possible. White's got several good moves here. Hi, Kevin.
And Christian Clemens joined.
And this is a much better position for white here.
All right, always great. Another follower. Thank you, Keshufi. Thanks for the follow. Great matches here. Let's check in on board 1 with Austin Mai and Gadir.
And does Gadir know that he can just draw and win the tournament?
That's a good question. Unless he's following the game, I don't know that he knows that. Unless
Right.
he knows that Balachandra drew his game. Because of that, a draw will win him the tournament. And if Austin Mai is following, he should probably put in the game chat, "Hey Gadir, Bala drew his game. Would you like to take a draw?"
Well, it's interesting. Can they be in the game chat?
No,
while they're
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, they're not supposed to,
Right.
but Gadir looks like he's maybe a little better here, but that is 2 passed pawns on the queen side. White takes on c6.
And Kevin saying Christian Clemens' game against Winslow would have been a draw after King G6. That's from the Tuesday night marathon. Great game they played. Just little miscalc at the end, it looks like, giving Winslow the win.
Is White sort of playing the wrong
And,
idea here?
and Judith confirmed that he cannot see the game chat with
Okay.
the others.
I'm not sure that G3 was the right way to go here. But we're getting an interesting game. Knight C6, Bishop C6, Queen C6.
And
And
interesting stuff here in the game between Gadajlovic and Lenderman. Max has declined the draw.
but that's why he's a FIDE master, and he's not afraid to play for a win against a strong grandmaster.
Yeah, he
know,
declined the draw and is playing
It's
on.
the kind of thing that you got to do. He may regret it, but he'll get the experience and he'll play.
And he may get the payoff. You know, he may get the
exactly. You have to believe in yourself. Good night, Alexi.
Good night. Sorry it was not working for you. See you in New Jersey. Now, what the players can do is they can look on the Google sheet for the Thursday marathon, which they do have access to, and see results. So there's a good chance if Gadir is using his resources that he knows that all he needs is a draw to lock the tournament up.
Oh boy, I like this F4 move.
Just puts the rook in a bad place there.
Well, you don't have to worry, Kevin.
Yeah. He might show you sometime.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
G5 maybe?
5, yeah. G5. I'm gonna. Whoa, what happened here?
We have buffering issues or
Oh no. It's I heard a draw but I thought it came from this game, but it was not this
so
game.
F takes G5, Rook G6, Knight F3, as suggested by Michael. And then maybe F6 or H6.
Oh, look at that.
White's playing a very consistent dark square strategy here. Very interesting.
It's interesting to think of chess like that. Right.
And here comes F6 trying to break the strangleholds on the dark squares and get a little play down the F file.
There.
And A4 is an interesting idea. I like it. I like it. I like Michael's idea here to just, push this A pawn.
And I'm thinking the idea behind giving that pawn up was just to free up the rook to be more active.
Yeah, and remember, black was already up a pawn, right?
Yeah.
So he's chosen this moment to give it back.
Austin Mythos, 6 minutes left.
And Michael makes a very interesting point, that A4 makes the rook at A1 a developed piece.
Right, as opposed to just sitting there undeveloped.
Right, and A4 actually by supporting, yeah. So interesting. Rook F1 is, White's getting paranoid about the F file, and I think that's unnecessary. if black can find a way to play c5 or e5, this is going to turn sour for white very quickly. But it's interesting that white's insisting on sacking the pawn. So if f takes g5, knight e5, and white's back in control here. And e5 looks like a good move for black, certainly, as Michael points out.
And there it is.
So he should have taken on f6, probably. You get the feeling this is starting to get out of control for white.
Is he going to go knight h4 after?
Was black going to play e4? Or queen b6 check first? The possibilities are starting to open up for black here. So knight takes e5 loses to queen b6 check, king g2, bishop h3 check, winning the exchange. Uh-oh. Tactical mistake on white's part. It's funny, I'm teaching this endgame class, and people are using the computer while I'm,
Yeah.
which is very interesting, actually.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going a little too fast for them to really make sense of it, you know. So
Also using the analysis to see where
they're
things are.
using it as analysis while I'm going over these games.
Oh, interesting. And you're not.
And I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. So,
And we never use the analysis while even though we have access to it, obviously, you know, it's sort of like funner for us not to look at it.
well, sure. I mean, and not only that, but it's, you know, I find it ridiculous. I mean, what's the point of you know, okay, so this loses the exchange to queen b6 check.
Yeah.
And now bishop, or rook f2, is that even better?
Well, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This is trouble.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Trouble.
He has to take it. And then
Rook G1.
queen takes in bishop h3, and then we're going to get a beautiful finish here, folks, with queen g1 and queen rook f1 mate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He should let it happen, right? Just to,
maybe. Now,
yeah.
Austin got snookered.
Rook G1. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We're going to get a pretty finish here.
Yeah, and then once once it was there, Gadir blitzed out the finale.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Fantastic win by Gadir Guseinov, and well played by Austin, giving himself
Up to a
some
point. Yeah.
opportunities. Yeah. Here we are in this game, Max Gadajlovic and Alex Lenderman. And congrats to Gadir, who's won the Thursday Night Marathon 7.5 out of 8. 7.5 out of 8.
And Lenderman is still suffering from a positional disadvantage here.
Max with 8.5
Max-
minutes.
Black's pawns are a total mess. However, White still has to make some progress here.
Yeah, this is not clear cut.
Yeah, White has some pretty straightforward ideas here. Queen b5 and knight f3, or knight f3 and queen b5. This is looking tough for Black. Even the super centralizing queen d5 looks strong here. Queen e4, that's probably good, but I think White's chances are good with the queens on the board as well. Yeah, this might not be as, I think White's chances were better with the queens on. The queens were part of the light square offense here,
Right.
in a sense. And this loosens it up a little bit. Still, it's an uphill battle for Lenderman. Still worse positionally. Gdashlovic gets, full credit for playing this out.
Fighting it out. We want to see Max at the Mechanics Institute sometime play a weekend. Though he's up in Canada, I believe.
I mean, Lenderman is on the ropes here, still. Queen takes e4, rook b8, and then rook 1 to e2, I think, maybe. And with the, I don't know, then White's still, trying to play knight f3 and trying to play b4. Black's still going to have a lot of resources. I don't see the advantage for Black keeping the queens on. I mean, it's not that desperate, or maybe it is. I mean, kind of a dismal position for Black.
Let's see if Max can make something out of it with the just under 8 minutes he has left. Let's take a quick look at this game with Jonah Bush and Callaghan McCarty Sneed.
Okay. This is a tough little game here. White looks better, but Black's got a little, hedgehog kind of hold it together kind of position.
Tough.
Tough little game here.
Let me let's go back to let's stay with this game and see what Max does with this.
What Lenderman does, actually, right?
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah. I mean,
I saw Lenderman on the move here.
Yep. And he's King G7.
So I think that black can avoid the exchange of queens without getting his position even worse off. So this makes sense. I think one thing black wants to do is avoid a knight versus bishop ending. If all the major pieces come off, this is going to be probably a lost ending for black.
And why would that be 3?
Well, then white can make a pass pawn on the queen side eventually. Black has to be very careful here. Like bishop d6 would, I think, just be losing. Unless the black king can march in really fast to e4 and d3 or something like that. That's the hope. I mean, white, one thing I didn't like about this queen e4 and queen g6 is that you're bringing black's king into the game. It's sort of developing black. But on the other hand, white still, he's got something here. Positional advantage.
Positional advantage, and certainly not worse.
Certainly not worse. Better. White's still better here.
And for everyone watching, we have the Bagby Memorial this Sunday, but the following week, the San Jose Chess Club has a 2-day FIDE rated tournament in Milpitas. If you're interested in that, just click on that link. This is a little bit shamelessly self-serving because I'll be the tournament director of that event. But I think there are over 50 players already registered. When they had their first event, I think they had about 90 players, and it was a fantastic venue and hotel. And
What's the name of the tournament?
The San Jose Chess Club Summer Championship. Summer Championship. 5 rounds, G90 plus 30. Got 3 rounds on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and multiple sections. $4,400 prize pool based on 80 entries. Think they're going to hit that and probably pass that. So click on that link and check it out, and I will see everyone there. Cracking.
Abel, did you see this chess tournament being held in Fresno?
Yeah, is that Central Coast Open?
Yeah. That's unusual to hold a chess tournament in Fresno.
What's chess doing over there? I think it's part of the Bill Goichberg's event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but there are people they'll travel out there to do it, and
Right.
I know of one that is considering playing that one over a 1-day event that we have.
Oh, it's at the same time?
Yeah, actually, it's not a 1-day event. We're actually doing a 2-day FIDE event on that same weekend.
The mechanics is.
Yeah, and it's not to compete with them. It's
What tournament is that?
I have to look the name. Let me see if we have that up. It's one of our memorial events. We actually just kind of made that. Hold on.
I think Lenderman is in a desperate situation here. Knight c4 is a beautiful square for the knight. And black is going to need some magic here.
Needs magic in the air.
So here's an idea. Rook b8, knight c4, rook takes c4, and that's about the only thing that black has here. Sack the exchange. Is it enough? He has to do it. I called it. It looks like it's probably not going to be enough, but he's attacking the f2 pawn, so
Bernardo Smith Memorial,
okay. So rook c5 is okay. It's the Bernardo Smith.
August 21st through the 22nd. And everyone will hear about it as that date approaches.
So rook c5 is also possible, I suppose. I forgot who Bernardo Smith was. He sacked the exchange.
Wow.
White's play was very direct and it's netted him the exchange, but Black has gotten some serious counterplay here. He's working with different ideas here. Rook c2, maybe.
You know who Bernardo Smith was?
I forgot.
He was the organizer of the mechanics the telegraph matches with Los Angeles
Back in the old days,
back
huh?
in the day. Yeah.
Okay. The before your predecessor took became the director, there were about 4 or 5 tournaments held every year at the Mechanics. There was the marathon, which I think was like 12 rounds or something. Maybe it was 10 by, I don't know. But so there were these tournaments, and then there was the Caps and the Stamer.
Yeah.
And then there was the Northern California Chess Championship. And that was about it. And then John came in and introduced a whole bunch of tournaments.
Wow. So it was mainly just casual chess room. And
Pretty much.
Austin
Yeah.
Mai in the chat. He's saying, I got destroyed. Wait, why is Lenderman losing again? Max says tough. Playing him tough.
Okay, so my guess is Lenderman's going to play something like h4, rook d5, and then rook a1, king h2. Oh no, I don't think white can play this. White can't lift the rook off the bottom rank yet safely. So what's White's plan here with rook d1? King f1, and then what? Black can make some useful moves here. King f5, h4, I think is useful.
And Austin saying he needs to go after the a pawn. Lenderman does.
No, you mean
Oh,
Jazlovic.
Gdajovic. Yeah.
But once he does that, then Black's going to get counterplay with rook a1. So,
Ooh, yeah.
and that's going to be some serious counterplay too. I mean, especially if Black gets his pawns advanced and
yeah.
that dark squared bishop.
So I think rook d1 was a little funny. It doesn't seem to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
So now Black is trying to creep up with, waiting, trying to be opportunistic and see if White makes a mistake. So now White wants to play rook d5 and if rook a1, king e2. but it's still going to be a little touch and go here. And this H pawn could be dangerous. I think white went into this a little too fast, is what I'm thinking here.
Probably thought well in control.
Well, maybe rook d3, but then rook a1, king e2, rook g1. That's possible. Actually, rook d3 here is possible. Keeping an eye on the f3 or h3 possibilities for black here.
That bishop on e5 is really anchoring a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is. And white goes there and said, but what about rook d3, the slow boat way with rook d3? I liked rook d3, but this is possible too. And now what? Check. And then, or rook, h3. Okay, so the idea is to play f3 with a mating net. And so the question is, did Max prepare for this? Takes f3, the rook goes back to d1, and then I guess white's still probably winning or close to it. Black just doesn't seem to have enough. King can't go to h4 because the rook at c4.
Yeah.
So black needs another idea there after rook d1.
And sort of
And white,
it opens it up now. I mean, that rook can go to g4 and drop a
Yeah.
check.
white can also play king e1 here. And although black just repeats with rook e2 check. So rook d1, and then, but white's tied down, and what can white do after that? Slowly advance the h pawn.
Max getting to 3 minutes on the clock.
Now Lenderman's doing what he, all that he can do.
And folks, this coming next week, we have a chess camp live at the Mechanics Institute. Nick DeFermian, Paul Whitehead are handling the chess part. I'm gonna be handling the tournament directing part with some rated games amongst the participants. Adults, kids, strong players, we're looking at 1,500 plus, 12:30 to 3:30. So take a look at that if you're interested. Back to the game. A lot of moves happening.
I mean, we might have a positional draw here. Now black nullifies the h3 pawn. Rook c5, what did rook c5 do? Nothing. Well, I mean, he can take on a5. And I guess that's what he has to do.
But what's next for black though?
Bishop, if bishop takes c3, rook f5. Black may be lost here. Rook c3 is forced. And then black goes behind the pawn, but it's Rook takes c3. And then rook a d5, rook a d5, rook a3, a5. Black takes there, and so I guess the c3 pawn is kind of worthless right now. And white's just going for the a pawn. Can black somehow target f2? He takes the opportunity. White can't pin him now. So now black can play bishop d4.
Under 2
Uh-oh.
minutes is max.
Rook a d8 here. Looks to me like black might be drawing this now. Bishop d4. Oh no, then rook h8 check and rook takes d4 check. It doesn't work. Bishop d4 does not work. Rook h8 check and rook takes d4 check. Okay, so he's going to anchor the bishop.
Dramatic
Maybe.
moments here in the end.
a7. It's going to be a draw unless black has a mate. Wow, the grandmaster is escaping here, folks, I think.
Minute 20.
Look at that, rook h8 and rook h2. That's a crazy idea. But black can play rook a2 then. That would be a way of probably of just losing the game. Put your rook on h2. where, yeah. Oh.
Seconds left. Max is trying to see all options.
I know, and this is where you don't want to have seconds left.
Right.
And I think this is where rapid chess fails me.
Oh wow.
You know, in a lot of ways, because you get down to these crucial positions, and the players only have seconds left, and that's not what you want. You want. Look at this.
What is this?
Okay, he's going into the corner. And Lenderman has anticipated this. And now he's got to play rook h8 because otherwise rook 8, well, oh my gosh. Well, black should have, I imagine has a draw here. Now, well, it does have a draw at will here with rook f2 check. So this is a failure for Gadajlovic. And black is now wondering if he has a win.
Austin saying rook h2, rook g8.
And
Yeah,
if rook
right,
h1,
right.
rook g1, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So Lenderman's, if he can't find a win here, is going to just take the draw. That's a like I said, a failure for Gadajlovic.
And probably
He was
that
in the
time-
middle. In the middle game, yeah, that's the other thing is that black has an enormous time advantage. Boy, that was a nice move, bishop h4. Very nice move.
And Austin saying king h2. How do you stop rook g1 check?
Oh my gosh. Could it be that Lenderman overlooked that?
Or is he looking at it?
Rook G2 check, King F1, King H2. Threatening Rook G1 mate. Is there a way out of that? Lenderman doesn't see it.
Wow, look at this.
Just C4.
What an ending.
Oh, poor Gadazlovic. I really feel for him.
And his king's just locked in there.
Now black can just play C3, right? Yeah, and it's funny, he's overlooking this mate. Lenderman is overlooking a mate here with Rook G2, King F1, King H2. That's really brilliant, folks. Or Rook G8, yeah. Oh, now he can play King H1. All you need is one win.
Oh.
I feel sorry for Gadazlovic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. What a game. And there's so many parts where, I mean, this is,
Yeah, he missed a draw at the end there with Rook H8 and Rook G8 check.
yeah, like at that point, white was a little bit better. And then going to this point, yeah, I mean, it's showing it even. Actually,
Yeah, I don't think white has anything now.
Yeah. And then when we got to like this thing, yeah, there was a mate. There was a mate, force mate. Actually, even here it's a mate in 5, but King H2 was the move.
Yeah, nice spine there. King
Yeah.
H2, no defense. And Lenderman didn't see it. It's funny.
Yeah. There's still this other
funny.
game going here.
So it looks to me like Lenderman's a little bit out of form lately. You know,
Yeah.
he had a lot of trouble in this last 4 rounds.
Every game.
Phew. Here we have the Endgame Lab.
You know what they say, the good player is always lucky, right?
So for Endgame students, this should be a draw, correct?
Yes.
And that is because the king gets in front of the pawn?
King is in front of the pawn. The king controls the queening square. The simplest move, well, yeah, you can keep your rook on the 4th rank. I think that's actually maybe not the right move. King G4 here. And you're going to have to be very careful. So we should have played the rook down to the 8th rank. This is a mistake, rook c4.
You know, and when we talk about the Endgame Lab, I mean,
It's still a draw though, but white now has to play to the 2nd rank. This is now, I think, losing or
ugh.
King G1, King G3.
And this is, here we have class, you know, B players, C and B players, that these are the types of endings that they find difficult. You know
now,
what it should be in theory, but
right. So now rook C1, rook F2 check is an elementary win.
yeah.
And that's That's rook b1 takes and king g2. Wow, nice game by Marina to bring home the victory.
Nice game, Marina. Yeah.
When Aaron should have known his book.
He should have signed up for the Endgame Lab, taught by Paul Whitehead.
Well,
And I think
yeah. We actually covered that position, I think.
that's what I mean. And I think all the games may be done, so I think we're ready for the final standings. And when that's
This was an open, right?
yeah, no sections. We have some under prizes, but
Prize fund, yeah.
no.
That's what it always used to be anyway, the TNM.
We won't declare prizes because everything's based on fair play review. I know there's at least one thing we're looking at a little closer for tonight. Did not involve any of the games that we saw on the broadcast though. And we'll see the updates then. And then if we do that, I'll post it up. I'll show it over here.
Well, congratulations to Gadir, who is just we're lucky to be able to watch his games in real time week after week. It's just, it's a real pleasure.
And Nick DeFermian was here covering the first round of the evening, but had something else he had to take care of, so he skipped out on the final round. But he was commentating on the Gadir Lenderman game.
We have, I forgive me if I'm wrong, but have we seen Gadir lose a game at the Mechanics yet?
No.
No, he's not lost a single game here.
The closest one I ever saw, and he should have lost, was in the Donaldson Championship online. He hung a piece against Alan Finkelstein.
That's right.
And came back from the depths and drew the game. But definitely should have lost that game. And the final results are posted. I'll put it in the link here. And I might just put it up myself here so that we can see it. There we go. And in the Twitch, I'll fix it. It's just better if like we can see it. So I'm going to turn myself off here. Gadir Gusayanov takes it down 7.5 out of 8. Mike Walder again causing the minor blemish to Gadir's record. There we go. Balachandra Dulapala 6.5 takes a clear second, but funny how you have the first place finisher and the second place finisher, and then like another full point separates third place.
And it's fantastic to see Kalen Melville and Jonah Bush doing this well. They are the local guys and came out, and Michael Walder half point behind, but tremendous result for Kalen Melville and Jonah Bush. They deserve it.
Yeah, and
Totally.
Kalen got that win in the last round against Cal McCarty Sneed. Certainly no easy.
No.
And Kalen getting that draw.
That was Jonah Bush, you mean? Yeah.
Jonah Bush getting that draw with Callaghan.
Yeah.
And Kalen Melville drawing an IM and winning, winning position. But
yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this. Only this is that what Max Gadajlovic did by refusing the draw and playing on is actually the correct thing to do, despite the final results. That is the attitude that a chess player needs to have in order to get better. Taking that draw in a much better position is I'm going to shake my finger at the players that are doing that.
It's not an easy thing to do. I remember one particular time I did it in my life. It was actually against somebody that I'm supposed to see next week because I think he has an internship in the city. It's Ladia Jurasic. He texted me. He has an internship like on Montgomery, like right down the street. So
Oh, cool.
he was asking hey, I'll swing by next week, say hey. But I remember a game where I had a totally drawn position because we were going to repeat moves. The game was like 4.5 hours in. And I could have offered a draw and he would have taken it because the consequence of not repeating, he would have lost a pawn. But I decided, I can keep pressing and I'm better here and I'm just going to do it. And I did it. I ended up losing the game. And I was very upset. But
you had something to talk about.
yeah, no, I'm sort of glad now after the fact that I did it because a lot of people wouldn't have done it, right? It's easy to just take the safe way. I paid for it because the better player outplayed me over the next half hour, 5 hours deep into a game. But yeah, it was a great experience.
I admire your fighting spirit.
Yeah, you gotta go all in to win, and but at the same time, I mean, I've had wins and draws with those higher rated players, and it does feel good where you get to that like level, and certainly don't take anything away from Kalen for
Oh, no way.
for
No.
working to get to that point, right? So
Yeah.
it's just that if you want to get to that next level, you go for the wins, and
Yeah, and and put some trust in your chaps that you can do it and learn something at the same time. But like you said, there's other considerations. There's prize funds. There's how you feel at the moment. You might not be up to it.
right.
So lots of factors go into these things.
Well, Paul, thank you very much, and big shout out to our tournament director Judith Starry, who got all the games going and monitors everything and updates the standings and pairings.
Hi, Judith.
And thanks so much for all that you do for mechanics and chess in general. And that is it for this Thursday night marathon. It is in the books. Next week we are off on Thursday night, but the week after we will start a new session of a Thursday night marathon. Be a part of the action and be on the broadcast. And we will be back on the air for round 2 of the live Tuesday night marathon next Tuesday. And don't forget, this Sunday, Charles Bagby Memorial at the Mechanics Institute. We thought 73 players for a one-day weekend event might have been a record. We may go over. We're getting the interest and we're getting the players. So good things happening at Mechanics. Live chess, alive and well at the institute.
Fantastic.
So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw our support over to the chess dojo. They're always looking out for us and giving us a shout out. So let's go on over there, and thank you everyone for following us, and we will see you very, very soon.
Okay, Abel.
Bye everyone.
Good